Yo gamers, Axel here, and today we're gonna be doing an Amber build. So as we all know already, Amber is really not one of the best when it comes to being a pyro main DPSs. Compared to Hu Tao or Yoimiya, she doesn't really shine as much when it comes to just being a good pyro DPS overall. But we're gonna be building her anyways because you know what they say, if you like waifu, you build waifu, am I right? Now, for a general build set, I want to talk about Amber's artifacts over here. So first, I want to start off with a physical build Amber. So with a physical build, you would typically go for a 2-piece Pale Flame and a 2-piece Bloodstained, which in turn giving you 25% physical damage bonus on both the Pale Flame and the Bloodstained. And as for the main stats on a general physical main DPS build, you would want to go for an attack percent Sands, and of course physical damage bonus on the Goblet, and as always crit rate and crit damage on the Circlet. You're just gonna choose whichever one is lacking. And for a physical build Amber, you could also go for the 4-piece Heart of Depth over here. Now the reason why I chose the Heart of Depth for a physical Amber build would be the 4-piece set effect. Now I know the 2-piece doesn't really benefit Amber that much because it's Hydro, but with this physical Amber build, you would mainly want to focus on the 4-piece set effect on the Heart of Depth. So with the 4-piece, all you have to do is use Amber's elemental skill, which in turn giving Amber a 30% more normal and charge attack damage. Now for a general pyro main DPS build, of course you would want to go with the 4-piece Crimson of Witch, since it does have that 15% more pyro damage bonus on the 2-piece, and on the 4-piece, if you're doing elemental reactions with Vaporize, you would in turn get more elemental reaction damage and basically more pyro damage whenever you use her elemental skill. Now there are more options when it comes to artifacts for Amber. Like if you want to focus more on her burst with Amber's burst, you could go for the 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate because that does focus on the character's burst. And we even have the Wanderer's Troop artifact set, which focuses mostly on charge attacks. So if you're only mainly focusing on Amber's charge attack, then Wanderer's Troop would be a pretty good artifact set. And of course, if you're causing elemental reactions with Amber, with vaporized reactions most likely. So if you can read over here, the 4-piece set basically increases charge attack damage by 35% if the character uses a catalyst or a bow, which Amber of course uses a bow. Now speaking of bow, now for Amber's weapon, there's also a lot to choose from. If you're gonna be building Amber, you could go for a weapon with crit rate, a weapon with an energy recharge. If you're planning on building Amber as a burst spammer DPS with the 4-piece Emblem of Severed Fate, or you can go with attack percent with the Rust if you already have enough crit rate to crit damage ratio, or you could go for an elemental mastery bow, which is the stringless, if you're trying to cause vaporize elemental reactions with enemies. So yeah, it really depends on what kind of build you're trying to build Amber with. Now we're gonna be taking a look on Amber's constellation over here. I'm just gonna quickly explain this right away. So her C1 basically fires 2 arrows per aim shot. The second arrow only deals 20% though. So yeah, a bit more DPS basically with the C1. Now with C2, if you hit Baron Bunny, which is Amber's elemental skill, it will basically explode, and that's pretty much it. C3, more levels on the talent. C4, it basically decreases the elemental skills cooldown so that it explodes way earlier. C5, more levels on the talent. Now C6 isn't really that meta breaking. That's why Amber is really not much of a meta character, as we all know. Basically whenever Amber uses her elemental burst, all of the party members' movement speed will be increased by 50%. At the same time, their attack will be increased by 15% for about 10 seconds. So that's pretty much it. And like I said, it's not really meta breaking since Amber isn't really one of the meta characters out there, since she's a free character after all. But compared to Kaya, which is also a free starter character, Kaya is way more stronger, I would say, has way more value than Amber. So if you're gonna be building a pyro DPS, Amber's really not one of the best out there. You'd be better off with characters like Hu Tao or maybe Yoimiya or Diluc even, or Yanfei even. Yanfei's a way better pyro main DPS than Amber. So if you have a Yanfei and you want a pyro main DPS, then Yanfei would be a pretty good pyro main DPS for your team. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my Amber build review. So yeah, and the last thing that I want to mention is that Amber's elemental burst is really good at melting ice shields. So I'm gonna show a clip over here. So yeah, Amber's elemental burst is if Amber's good at one thing, it's gotta be breaking the Abyss's mage's cryo shields, the ice shields. So yeah, and that is pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching, and as always, see you in the next video.